So I'll hear people say, if you believe it, then you can achieve it. No matter what, even if you're not going to win, you got to fight. Go get some.
Hey, how was that? What's up, everybody? Raf in the building, and welcome to another episode of the Combat Club, where mission martial arts, boxing, wrestling fans are united to hang out with a podcast where we'll give you a close-up of previews, debates, news, interviews on the streets, stats, history, a little bit of film study of rookies and veterans at the octagon, and more, because this is the Combat Club. It's a show with 100% extreme attitude. In this club, we're born to fight. Anywhere, anytime, anyone. Live on Capitán Rafucho YouTube, and of course, from my co-host Science Zenith YouTube, and of course, the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. So don't be a ninja and subscribe to all these channels, Capitán Rafucho, Science Zenith, and the Big Blue Crew Sports Network, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, it seems that tonight is going to be like a late night show because we have some topics that we need to discuss around this. We're training for the UFC 310, which is going to be tomorrow, a review of Survivor Series, and we're going to give like a little close-up of the UFC 311 in Los Angeles and the possible retirement of Gervonta Davis. So this is going to be so incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Salute to you, riders down yonder. Salute to you. Salute, Rafa. Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good, man. Yep, it is right. It is right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to excited to preview the UFC 310, ladies and gentlemen, because this time there will be no holds barred. So right now, here it is, the UFC 310 preview. I know it's going to be like it's so excited. But trust me, it'll be like great banger after banger after banger. All right, so between for the featherweight, we have Bryce Mitchell versus Con Gracie. Now, between for like the Gracie name is the most fearing name at the UFC in the first few years. As a promotion of Royce Gracie took the world for the martial arts by storm by winning the first few UFC events. And they just cemented the superiority of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over the other martial arts. But that was like a few years ago. And even it's no longer like the best mace, but the Gracie name has faded for the relevance and mother, and Con Gracie has not exactly impressed. But it's time for the UFC to listen to mediocre veterans like Charles Jourdain, Cub Swanson even thought he was winning the debut against Alex Cáceres, get the submission, but is likely to lose to the fight and his other fighting skills are very likely. For another part, Bryce Mitchell is a very good wrestler and also has been inactive for a year due to the brutal knockout he suffered in the hands of Josh Hammett. He's very, very reliable fighter that only had lost to the elites of the featherweight division like Topuria and Emmett, but it seems that I'm picking up Bryce Mitchell because he has a very dominant performance against Garcia, and I think outside of his submission ability, is clearly superior fighter, both on the feet and on the ground. And of course, I never see like the cardio, the grappling strength limit, it doesn't fail enough. It doesn't fail. But I know y'all understand like the legacy of the Garcia, Royce Gracie, it took over the world by storm. Even though they're just being like the pioneers since the first event in UFC back in 1993. But it seems that their magic, their spark, it become very lower. But I think the Bryce Mitchell became like so much important to take the W. Yep. And I'm picking another decision. Next up, we got for the heavyweight division, Cyril Game versus Alexander Volkov. Now, this is going to be like a very interesting rematch between two of the most technical strikers in the heavyweight division. In my gut, this is chance are going to be like a dominant performance by Game, but I think it's going to be like a really closer fight than the judges' scores suggest. The Volkov did a lot of significant strikes. Even in the latter, they had just wanted to outstrike Keane deservedly when the fight unanimous decision. But that fight that was like 3 years ago. And since then, the career of boy heavyweight has gone in different directions. And it seems that between Sarah Game is the most technical heavyweight striker on that division. I thought it was gonna be like a Giancanico because he know about Muay Thai, who can easily outstrike the power of his opponents with his technique and footwork. Because I really thought he could be like Francis Ngannou, and I believe he was like the better over striker against Ngannou, but especially used his wrestling to exploit the game hold and grappling, which John Jones would exploit as well. But his wrestling activity was the pipe like 34 years old. It seems of a fight against Jones, so they're very concerned because has been exploring other ventures. Because if you're not 100% focused on the career, you can easily downhill as it's out of the corner. But in another part, we see Alexander Volkov. He has been like a little bit of career resurgence since the defeat of King. Winning 5 out of the last 6 fights, only losing to Thomas Pinot, which is very nothing to shame about it. And let me tell you for this one, I mean, that's very impressive how the body to the hype. He was like a champion material to for the explosive power. Ultimately, that's just something that I had to admit that I was wrong about. I mean, I drove with this prime at 36 years old has clearly reached a ceiling as a fighter, but I think he's still focused. Sharp, it even shows some improvement in his grappling and see the submission against Tai Tuivasa. It doesn't really surprise that Volkov is a bigger underdog. But it seems that Volkov, it became something favorite. It doesn't surprise that he's more active in 4 fights that I think that amidst this and some grappling that will explode against weakness. It is very available to path to the victory. So I'm gonna pick Alexander Volkov to make sure. Yep. Also, we got for the welterweight, Shakar Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary. Yep, Ian Machado graded, ladies and gentlemen. Because check this out. It's like the clash of the undefeated fighters, which is very weird to see. I know Shaq was originally supposed to fight Bella for the title until the champion has pulled out to an injury. He has very impressive 100% finish rate for all these 18 wins, but it's very notable that in the UFC all of his finished by submission, by exception of the fight against Carlton Harris, which is very reasonable why Shaq had to become favorite. That it takes a lot of risk with striking a very hittable with his fighting on his feet. I mean, striking is when it comes to undefeated the opponent. Ian Gary is very excellent, especially with regards to like controlling the distance, outstriking the opponents, win by decision. He did like a lot of displays and improve the grappling game at his latest fight against the MVP. Yep, Michael Venom Page, which is very crucial to secure the victory. But also, they had to limit Gary's striking parlays. So it's clear they had the better striker. It was beating like his area of expertise. But I will secure that Ian Gary will to keep him on the fight. On the feet. And fighting on this range, which is probably striking, is probably better than Shabbat. Because what Ian Gary need to do is fire around Bog Boyd, taking it out for the submission machine. Ian Gary grappling defense is about to get really tested. And I really doubt that it's going to be like a blue belt. So we'll be able to accomplish that test of his Shabbat and physically stronger, miles better as a grappler. I mean, I believe that he could be like to expose Ian Gary's grappling to win out the competition when it comes to number one contender fight by submission. So I'll probably going to say Shabbat as a submission. Mhm. And last but not least, we got the main event, the UFC 310 between the flyweight championship. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Now, I guess it's gonna be like really shocking. How in the hell the UFC gave a title shot to a debutant? But I guess the flyweight is getting like a little stale. They don't want to have Pantoja fight one of the brands yet again. I mean, Kyle Sakura made his debut at the UFC, but a lot of hype was behind him as the most popular fighter in social media. He does knows about the knockout power beyond the strikes and how he cracked the skull of one of the opponents at the racing by some of the signature strikes, such as that sucker kicks and stumps are being bad to the UFC. He did lost to the man who camp, which is sounds like an answer to the question. He belongs to the A-like class of the flyweight division, but it's very clear that the UFC intent is giving like the title fight and its debut thought. They wanted to become champion so they could capture the Japanese market. But I have no doubt that Alessandro Pantoja would defeat the Sakura in this fight. He defeated Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royal multiple times, who are easily champion material, which is very impressive. I mean, Pantoja is a very great bowler on the feet, on the ground, which is make a very formidable champion. But there is like a legit concern to be asked. To be asked. And I'm not kidding about that, folks. His prime currently at his last two performances were very concerned. Both times against Steve Erceg, Brandon Royal, he gives outstroking Pantoja. He using scrapping to survive, like winning rounds in control time. But I think that Steve Erceg should have won if the fight was scored with damage being this first priority. As should be like was not Brazil, doesn't make out a decision. It would fall the side of Brazil with some damage. I mean, what could happen? Also, Pantoja is 34 years old. They really at 25 number, but I believe that only three fighters above for like one for the title fights and divisions below for the middleweight division as opposed 30 losses or something. Kai Sakura usually lost by knockouts, to which is something that Pantoja is known for. But it's gonna be like a bold fight and picking him up because he has the power to really hurt Pantoja because I think this fight is very competitive. Maybe the judges might decide to favor him. So I'm gonna pick Kai Asakura as a new and the first Asian UFC champion. I know the debut is gonna be like a really hyped up, but I think it's gonna be like really short enough to how to prove that this next level. Because I never see Kai Asakura as a fighter. I mean, this man is from Japan, and he was like an amazing record that no one see that coming. I mean, it's gonna be like an agony for the first fight. Like it's the same person who Manu Cape fought at the MMA when Cape was up against to it. And I know they want to try to every strike it at all, but it was like a legit work. But it seems that he challenged tough guys to sparring because for the Japanese culture, he's one of the most polite bully and goes light over them, which is Kaya Sakura. But I think he started late and now he's challenger to UFC champion. He had some training before he started his rather, but in the case like 20 years ago, wasn't that even popular when fighters with a little experience and background could become professional fighters. Nowadays, to be a pro, you need to start very, very early. And I understand because I was a former karate do champion. I'm not gonna lie, but I had to do start very earlier at the trenches to practice in karate do. It takes like a lot of time to train with blood, sweat, tears, guts. I mean, they had to. And it takes a lot of time to get involved, like the movements, kata, kumite. I mean, that should really happens at all because most of these athletes they need some take of the time to practice him, to perfection, everything. that could happen. Everything. And I'm not kidding about that, folks, because it takes a lot of time to practice, to involve, to impress all those persons with the punches, the kicks. I mean, everything. I mean, if you remember the career of Alex Pereira, because he became like some of the most underrated. But at the end of the time, it became something very popular as the most incredible fighter during for this year, 2024, the UFC. And he was headlining almost for the pay-per-views. But yes, that man is completely, he's really different. He built different with a slam, with everything. I mean, there's nothing to compare about it. Because I know there's some persons that look very scary. But luckily, he just really fucked up. He really fight up because it worth a watch. Because I know the rise in Japan, the relationship with Hiroshi both featuring. I mean, for those setup, because I know it's gonna be like very unconventional, but I really understand how the story it became something really important no matter what happens. I mean, the footwork, he was training already, even though just a natural talent like that, I mean, that really impressed me a lot of things. Yep, I'm not gonna lie for this. All right, so after the UFC 310 preview, right now let's go for the next topic, shall we? Because in the world of the boxing, let's show off a video. Well, a little bit of video what happens between for like the press conference on Gervonta Davis. So you gotta listen very well and you gotta make sure about that. So roll the videotape.
25 is at the next year. I'm out of it.
After our second fight.
You're out of it?
Yeah,
Care to elaborate on that?
out of the sport.
You see that? He announced he will retire at the end of 2025. So that will be like the next topic we're talking about, like the career of Gervonta Davis. Now, watching between the Roach versus Tank Prince conference, I mean, Gervonta Davis looks very interesting. I mean, beefing with people on the crowd. I mean, somebody announced next year he will be his final year of boxing. I mean, talking about how beaten up and how tired all of this. I mean, tired of what? I mean, fighting zero legit champions in that weight division. I mean, if they want to give like the Lamont fight with such a March, that means he will likely have one more fight before retiring. I mean, he's getting like in the ring, but this is gonna be really insane. But what exactly is the standard? Not even Ryan Garcia has better career on paper than Shakur. Three-weight division champ. I mean, please. I mean, if anything, since Keishon was way less success, then Tank should be clamoring to fight. But it's obviously afraid of the actual opposition. I mean, if Gervonta Davis, the Tank, has actually said for a while he will be retired at the end of 2024, 2025, it's actually so because some people they're very skeptical because it's very consistent about it. I wonder if he wants to last his fight. A rematch between William Garcia, Haney, Shakur, Mayweather, Oshaki Foster, probably is gonna be like the last fight before his last dance. But I'm really sure is go down one of the best boxers of the 21st century. But it seems that they have something to take care about this. If he retires right now, I mean, he will never happen, never been in the top 10 pound by pound, and not go for the history books because he has done everything. Would you like the three most overhyped fighters in the sports of boxing? I mean, he dug Ioma, but about the peak of the fight made sense. He just waited for it get old after he lost to Dibe and Teofimo Lopez. Two people who also dug. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be like really wasted, but it sounds like a little bit of clickbait. But he seems very bored. I mean, he should be retired for the few fights. Also, he don't want to beat Shakur because he was had to down to a fight him. I mean, that heart from Gervonta Davis, which is Tank, isn't a boxing. That's when you know it's time to go. Even it's not gonna be a 25 or maybe 26, he don't have much longer on that sport. Am I getting called crazy? I don't think so. I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't think it's gonna be a publicity stunt because it's more likely, but we want to see the last dance of Gervonta Davis versus Shakur. If he's trying to the peace out, he wants to do like a with a big payday. He's not getting useless turkey, but to get only a fight on a fight. I mean, if it's true, I mean, check this out. Two mindset of a fan reminds that, oh, it's gonna be like a waste of a career if I wants to hear him. But I understand that boxing is a brutal sport. And we've been heard countless of stories of boxers after their boxing life suffering from being broke, drug addicts, criminal activities, being in prison. You can count on them. You can count on them because after that, after being involved in criminal records, drug addiction, anxiety, depression, being broke, I mean, they have a lot of history to get involved with these people. Because if they want to succeed, you gotta think well, think fast, and of course, you're gonna knock them out as many haters. Just like that. Boom! Just like a punch, knockout, and give like the middle finger to the head to say, hey, look, after I've been through all this life, right now, I am here, motherfuckers. I am here. There's nothing that can stop me. There's nothing at all. I mean, but in the case of Gervonta Davis, I mean, it's going to be like a used to retirement as a negotiation tactic or something to gain favor like Floyd, because he wasn't supposed to fight Lamont, and people see that it's a point because he couldn't make it like in some other big fights and he's probably upset. But also, they remember he would say like in his park and essentially realize if he gets a big fish. I mean, he pour like in a more steam, but would it do like he feels like very enough to train the next generation of boxing? And no, there's not gonna be Jake Paul. So forget about Jake Paul. Let's not overlook any trauma he may have in his history. Whatever his parents we push aside, and they gotta focus. I can see Tank understand his journey and also not wanting to put up any boxing business. Business that became BS, as no it's bullshit. Because fans are literally switch it up every Thursday, every favorite fighter, and they're not mentioning the haters are racing. Imagine that they're trying to love through a fickle person. I mean, what the fuck? Even though he wants to retire, it is a decision. If it is over at all, that's okay. Because I don't want it to see like to really lose to keep the motivation on this career. At this point, I mean, he's been really facing a lot of the hype. All through his work career hasn't really fought big names a part of Pedraza or Araya. But without fighting any alive fighter, just only one sport is for the money. But I don't think they even want it. I mean, love it or hate it, he did what he wanted. He made a lot of money. It is potentially quitting on the terms. And people can be mad. People are mad, but I don't. Because everyone is meant to be like an all-time great. And honestly, there is no really perks besides for the people talking about higher chances of brain damage or CTE. Look at his career of Gervonta Davis. 5 years ago, lightweight division has started the rave for the promising LA fans, who mostly never fought another one. They aged out second-tier opponents. Some went with the weight, some went out with the sports, with the whimper, and not much hurt. One went for the Rails mentality. And when you look at the golden age of lightweight division, instead it was a dude. It was a dude. And even some persons, they really hate Floyd Mayweather. Remember this, guys. Hate is a strong word, but a lot of persons, they respect the shit out of him as a boxer. I mean, those persons need to realize that he stood and scrapped it quite a little bit in the first half of his career, deciding to protect his undefeated record. You can't start your career who's only interested in never losing a fight. That runs counter to everything that makes a fighter great. And that's my opinion. Yep, that's my opinion about like Gervonta Davis retiring. But I don't think that Gervonta Davis is going to retire very soon enough. But there's going to be like a piece of clickbait or everything. But I understand about the point. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, after doing like Gervonta Davis retirement, right now it seems between for the last week, the Survivor Series WWE review. And I gotta tell you, shout out to the Big Blue Crew Sports Network, and of course to my brothers, G Nation Inside Sports, Big Pat Sports Talk, and because I really understand that, well, it might be either to go for like do it for like wrestling shows, like the pay-per-view live reactions, but it seems that I have so much fun with those persons and give it like a great advice to make sure about this. And I know that sometimes, well, I speak very fast. I speak very fast enough for this one. But yes. All right, so between for the Survivor Series, which is the last pay-per-view before move to Netflix. Exactly. Before move to Netflix. I mean, the beginning of the women's war game, it was a complete big mess because they were so wrong to let Nia versus Bailey to start the match. Instead of Nia, they could have had seen Candice or even Raquel. I know Candice can take like a lot of bumps and hanging around longer, those kind of matches. But I was actually like getting bored and slow pace that it was like the beginning. And once he entered, she brought the momentum and pace that the War Games were hardest. I mean, even during the middle of the match, whatever they get slowed down, I mean, she comes out out of nowhere, attacking opponents, drawing the attention of the audience toward the match. I mean, overall, that was like Io and Tiffany. It didn't quite join throughout this year's War Games. I mean, the ending was really awful. As much I had to dislike for like Liv Morgan, she really needed a win, and of course, Nia too. Exactly. And it seems that between the United States Championship, along with Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight, as someone who take the belt for the most hated wrestler, which is Logan Paul, he actually deserved a better storyline with someone that's skin of the game, not someone who didn't see it for a while. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was like a bad matchup. But I'm guessing see like a new face emerge, like taking Nakamura and Knight moving off of the title match. I mean, they're gonna look at them forward. Because after that. And between for like Intercontinental Championship, along with Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser, and Braun Breaker, an international match around for those incredible fighters, incredible wrestlers. I mean, what can I tell you? They actually knows about like everything could happen. I mean, they wanted to expect a lot of things more. I mean, has Broken Breaker not very cooked on the ring, especially with Shinzo Alubi? I mean, they have something really inspective because I thought it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be very disqualified, but at the end of the day, it was like a completely out of control. It became like the fight of the night. So I'm really excited about that, folks. Really excited, and I love that. I love that it becomes like the hype and of course the movements. I mean, that was between like everything, like from action and everything. Yep. And that's what I'm thinking about it. That's what I'm really thinking about what's gonna happen on this front.
All right, so I just changed the microphone, but you know what? I'm getting involved for this one. All right, so after the Survivor Series WWE review, because I know it's gonna be so much important, and there's one thing that I was missing. There was one thing that I was missing. The men's Wars game match was great, but I love the stunts, especially Bronson Reed from top of the cage. They really like the chemistry between Punk and Roman, but I really get it. They might go to the same like the Punk this big match, which I believe would be like along with Gunter, with the club in his favor to him, and I mean maybe we'll see. I mean, for the OG bloodline, I believe that Roman versus The Rock will be the storyline. I mean, they could have got many ways to the story. Not sure how they incorporate the solo bloodline, but instead like very unfold to get everything. I mean, that was so much great. I mean, the finale was like very impressive. Very impressive. I love that. But they got a lot to better as going to everything. And it seems that I was very impressive at all. It was like one of those good and better pay-per-views because I was really entertained, not only for my brothers, G Nation and Big Pads. I mean, this is like the real sports. Even this there, look at a few botches. But I was like very upset when Damian Priest lost against Gunter for the World Heavyweight Championship, thanks to who? Finn Balor. And I know he didn't have the opportunity because it seems that another interference, another one, so it became like something stupid. Something stupid at all. And I get it. I get it though. I get it. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, after talking about Survivor Series WWE review, and I know that I changed the microphone because you know what? I just changed between the camera and the microphone. And make sure to subscribe to the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. So don't be a ninja. Subscribe to the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. They have the best of the best of the best of the best sports. The best sports and the greatest network on the planet. No doubt. It is. And of course, shout out to my co-host on Zenith. I know he's feeling very good right now, but I wish the best. I wish the best. And probably we can do like something very special before the end of this year. Because me and Sanyan, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. So I believe that in the next episode, we're going to resume the best and the worst of 2024 in combat sports. In WWE, UFC, boxing, everything. Now, that I just wanted to tell it about this because before I just wanted to get involved with a lot of this one. Oh, let's see what happens. Oh, hey, how's it going? Wells to New Jersey. Salute to you. So, I think I might have to learn something brand new on this language because that's Korean. That's Korean, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's Korean, if I'm not mistaken, because, well, I know that I'm trying to learn something new on the language because I know that I speak like Spanish, English, a little bit of Italian, Portuguese, and I had to learn something, about like the Korean language. But yes. All right. So I'm gonna show like a little bit of photo because this one is gonna blow up your mind, ladies and gentlemen. And after talking about Gervonta Davis, the UFC 310, and the Survivor Series 2024 in Canada, you gotta check this photo. Yep, it is official, ladies and gentlemen. It is official. The UFC 311 Machabek versus Armin Tasukan, number 2. The second round is going to be at the lightweight title fight at January 18 in the city of Los Angeles, California. You're going to bump it out like California love, Tupac Shakur, Dr. Dre, or the son of They Know Like Us, like Kendrick Lamar. But check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. So far, it's going to be really stacked because they cannot wait to see how about like the UFC 311. It's going to be like the first banger of 2025. I mean, I remember because if you see Arma versus Islam, the first round, and thinking because it was very competitive, but Islam clearly won, but it's entertaining competitive, that I run to start like Islam is very good, as Khabib was saying. Turns out that we're like both monsters and I have beaten Gamrod. They're gonna be really looking forward to this fight. They're a fantastic rematch on the cards because between for that decision was an old school Saudi Amato Master class. Media scored like 75% for a Toscan win, but right now it seems that there's gonna be like a lot of fireworks, and this is gonna be like really insane, ladies and gentlemen. Because not only just had Islam versus Arman for the lightweight championship, but also they have Morale versus Umar, not gonna do for the bantamweight championship, Proshaka versus Heel, Talbot versus Barcelos, Holland versus the Riddler, Dawson versus Ferreira. I mean, sheesh. Sometimes with a high level grappling can really connect each other and they're gonna make like a deciding stand up. Unless it's Bo and Craig, and then this is gonna be really sucks. But unfortunately, stacked and everything. Because almost for the way through, I mean, this car is gonna be very impressive to start the 2025. Every fight apart, but the first one should be really entertained, which is at least relevant and not important to the division. But also, you have 2 pound by pound top 10 fighters fighting closing match challenges. It was very brilliant. It will generate no pay-per-views. I mean, what could happen? But the problem is the volume of fight cards compared when the sport started, when the only number cards currently or less, the fights were getting pretty good. It's almost every week have a lot of card with some pretty televised. That's definitely before the card starts, because it seems that I love pretty stacks. Ontario's gonna realize that they're the main card, but it's gonna be like at a low key. Just like at a low key. Everything could happen. At all. Everything could happen. So, and I just wanted to tell you, between for the UFC 311, it's gonna be like a huge banger. Huge banger. I believe so. That is gonna be at the Intuit Dome, which is the new home of the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, that's gonna be like really worth it. It's gonna be really stacked, more aggressive, more pleasant. I mean, they were getting start and then bam, they were getting enough of this one. And I really loved it. I really loved it, ladies and gentlemen. I really loved it. All right. So basically, I mean, I was talking about like between for like Gervonta Davis, Survivor Series, UFC. I mean, everything could have happened on this one. And believe me, this end of the year is going to be pretty much stacked. That we all know is going to be really happy at all. All right. Before I had to cut this down, before I had to shut us down for everything. So I just wanted to know about like the boxing schedule between for this weekend. All right. On December 7th, they have in Arizona, in Phoenix, Emmanuel Barrete versus Oscar Valdez. 12 rounds for the World Boxing Organization Junior Lightweight title. It is going to be on Phoenix, Arizona. Also, they got the UFC 310 for the lovers of the mixed martial arts between Alessandro Pantoja versus Kai Asakura for the flyweight champion. And we got the NXT deadline for the wrestling fans out there. Yep. And they got something very interesting. Something very interesting that, well, you probably know about this. So on December 7th, which is going to be on Saturday, they got Paro versus Hitchkins, live from San Juan, Puerto Rico, señores y señores. Yep, it is going to be on the Coliseo Roberto Clemente in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Now check this out about this one. Between Paro and Hitchkins, they have undefeated record of 25 victories from Paro and 18 from Hitchkins. So there's going to be like a lot of great excited to see involved in the schedule for this weekend. And I just wanted to tell you about this, folks. Well, before I had to shut this down, make sure to subscribe to the Big Blue Crew Sports Network at YouTube, Twitter, and of course, Capitán Rafucho on YouTube, Twitter, as known as Heads, Instagram, and my co-host, Zenith, on Twitter, as known as Heads, and YouTube. So don't be a ninja and subscribe. It costs you free. It costs you free. It didn't cost you $1. It didn't cost $5. It didn't cost $10 or $20. It costs you free. Free. Exactly. Free. And I just wanted to tell you, between for like everything, I mean, between for the end of this year, I would like to make it a special announcement, because during for the next week, not only we can do like a preview of the UFC of Tampa, but also we can define who got the best and the worst of 2024 in the world of boxing, wrestling, and mixed martial arts. So you're gonna stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, not only for this channel, Capitán Rafucho, Zenith, but of course on the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. So there's been a lot of depression, and I've been holding it down tonight because I know my co-host Zenith is very busy, but I guarantee that the next week we'll be back and stronger for our last episode of that year, continuing, because me and Sanyon, we're not going anywhere, because we're still doing it at the Combat Club with more promotions to the 2025. So what can I tell you about this one? Big things are coming in. So I just wanted to tell you, thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Combat Club, doing the preview of UFC 310 Survivor Series review. A lot of things, news of Gervonta Davis and the UFC coming out there in 2025. So I would tell you for this one, have a great Saturday, have a great weekend, have a great night, and I will see you there next time, because this is the Combat Club. This is the podcast with 100% extreme attitude. We can fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. In this club, we're born to fight. Yes, sir. And right now, we're getting out of here. Saludos, and have a good night. Let's go. Let's get it.